Andrew Walker of PhysioWorks, and happy Halloween. Hope you're all having a great day so far and you're looking forward to enjoying some trick-or-treating this evening. If you've got little kids like we have, it's great fun, it's good times, and being a school night, hopefully they get to bed at a decent time and you have a good morning tomorrow. So, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about, is it too good to be true? And I thought it was really interesting. On Twitter, there's a lot of PTs, medical doctors, who talk about different things within the orthopedic community and the medicine community. And when we talk about different topics, we start to wonder, okay, is what someone is saying is true? And you may think that when you go to see a doctor or a PT or someone, is what they're saying true? And I think that's a really important question. It's one that we should probably ask more regularly. And I'm going to get rid of Mr. Frankenstein here for a minute. Let's just switch to here. There we are. And basically, it was really put into perspective today by a researcher called Chad Cook, who's a PT researcher out of Duke. And he took this, basically a fake paper. He created a fake research paper and he submitted it to a journal. Well, this was what we would kind of describe as a predatory journal, a fake journal. I think it's not a fake journal, it's a real journal. It publishes papers, but unfortunately, the papers are not of very high quality. So that means that any researcher can really publish things to these journals and make it look like they're providing good research that someone can do something with. So in that sense, it's very easy for someone to be marketing a product or marketing a service to then be able to try and publish something in a fake journal for X amount of dollars, and then it becomes something that they feel that they can justify more and that the public don't necessarily question. So let's just throw up this screenshot here. This was the journal paper, and it says temporal effect of repeated spinal manipulation on mortality ratio. Okay, you can't necessarily see that so easy, so here's a zoomed in view of the title. All right, mortality ratio, mortality, death ratio. So the effect of repeated manipulation on death. And so that's kind of a bit of a bizarre title, isn't it? And you can see here, though, this is a medical journal, supposedly. And it looks like a typical journal paper. It has a title that sounds fancy. Go back to this one here. It has authors that are well recognized within the PT community. You can see that they are, working in good institutions. You've got Duke University there, University of Colorado School of Medicine, as different places. And so, you think to yourself, wow, that's pretty good. That's really good research. Now, you might not be able to see this here, but it says Volume 1, Issue 1 of the Archives of Women, Health and Care. All right. So it's the first ever art journal publication of this journal. And, always be cautious, I think, with a journal that doesn't have many articles. It's not been around very long. Some of the best research journals within orthopedics and sports medicine have been around 50 odd years or more, and they're very prestigious. Not to say that bad things can't get published in them, but in something like this, bad research can get published. So the goal of them publishing this paper in this predatory journal was to show that bad research can get published. So if you actually download it, it's quite a fun one just to look at, but I've just taken a few tidbits out here. So have a look at this. Grip strength in kilograms, 0. So of all these subjects, they reported grip strength of 0. And it says, surprisingly, the grip strength was very low. In full disclosure, the patient seemed inattentive when we requested the 3 repetitions. Okay, well that sounds pretty stupid, isn't it? So that silly little thing got past any supposed reviewers at the journal, because every journal paper in a good journal should be peer reviewed. Peer meaning one of our peers in the medical community. So if I was to do research and I was to submit it to a good journal, let's say the American Journal of Sports Medicine, there are peer reviewers who would look at my research, they'd read the whole thing through and try and find what needs to be fixed. Very similar to when someone's submitting a PhD to be defended, they have to sometimes make corrections. So In the same way here, they have to make corrections to the manuscript in the journal. So then, a few, maybe a page later, there's another thing here. Grip strength in kilotons. So I've highlighted that in red. Kilotons is a huge amount. I mean, gosh, if you could grip like that, you'd be breaking anything and everything. The iron fist. So again, something that got past the supposed peer review process within their research. All right, let's take another little screenshot. All right, so we're talking about manipulation here. And they've got this graph. Well, first of all, this graph has little descriptors in here, like y-axis, x-axis. When you look at medical journals, there's an assumption that people know how to read a basic graph. They know what an x-axis is, they know what a y-axis is. So you wouldn't have that. A peer reviewer should see that. Well, you look further, and it says, and I've highlighted that in a little purple box, cumulative germination of, I'm going to read this very wrong, chenopodium seeds. So it actually has nothing to do with manipulation. It actually has something to do with seed germination. So basically, they've put in a graph that has nothing to do with the topic they're talking about. Again, it got past the peer reviewers, if there are any peer reviewers, and basically flooded the research world with research that is, quite frankly, crap. Alright, so there's one more screenshot I'm going to put up. This is a little quote. So, there we go. Socrates once said, "Death may be the greatest of all human blessings." Khalil Gibran has responded by saying, "As life and death are one, the river and the sea are one." And underlined in purple, neither of these two quotes have any relevance to our case. So, they've put this statement in their research paper, and it's completely got past any peer review process, if there is any process that exists. So this journal basically has taken the a paper that's been provided to them by some researchers, and they've basically published it without any real form of editorial. So all sorts of things have been slipped into this paper, in this case on purpose by the authors, to point out how ridiculous these predatory journals are. But people can do things much more surreptitiously than that. So statistics are often, can often be used to lie. You can use statistics to make things look some way. So someone could make a paper that looks plausible to the person reading it, and to basically justify what they're doing. So these predatory journals are much more likely to publish things like that. And unfortunately, like I say, all of a sudden this journal's out there. If you search within PubMed or Google Scholar, things where you can look up research, you're going to find that journal article listed in there, just like any other journal article from a good journal. So all of a sudden, if you're a person in the community looking up manipulation, and is it safe, is it good, is it bad, and you find that, and you might look through it, not really paying any real details, and just go to the conclusion and think, oh wow, this is actually telling me something, when actually, when you look at the details, it is not a good paper. In this case, not done so on purpose. It was purposely not a good paper to show how you can basically get anything published in a lot of ways. So we have to be very careful with that. So me as a clinician, what does that mean? It means that when I'm talking to a patient about a topic, be it on a blog or be it in person, and I'm talking about research, I need to be capable of looking at that research and seeing, is it good or not? I need to have an understanding, is this a good journal? But even so, as I read through that paper, I've got to work out, is what they're saying real? Is it true? And that is something that isn't necessarily easy. It takes time to develop that thought process, to be able to understand the statistics involved, for example, and the things that, and to be able to understand if it's reliable. And unfortunately, like I say, there's a lot of people who would just take the conclusion, they'll look at the abstract. So when I bring this screenshot back up here, there's a section there that says abstract. It's basically probably about a quarter of the page in the middle of that journal paper. And that abstract supposedly tells you, is like the high points of the article. In one of these predatory journals, it might be the abstract looks quite reasonable, but then you look at the details, again you've got these some of these statements, these graphs, for example, that don't make any sense or have nothing to do with the topic, and all of a sudden you've got a paper that actually is not worthwhile. So be careful what you listen to out there. Be careful the different things that that people are telling you about, the treatments that they're offering you. It's not easy for the public to look at this stuff, and that's why you want to go to reputable sources for information on your healthcare. That's what I try to do when I write my blog articles. I try to source the full articles and to try to actually provide good information, relevant information that uses good sources. So when you're being treated, you don't want to trick, you want to treat, you want people, you want to take it, use treatment that is based off of sound evidence and not based off of poor evidence. So if anyone's online right now, hopefully that wasn't too dry. I think it's very important. If you are looking out there and you're looking at it and thinking, okay, this looks interesting, this looks like a good article to me about my condition, you're always welcome to shoot me a message and see if it's something that I know anything about. I'd be happy to look at it. But also, if you're wondering, is this a predatory journal? Is this a good journal, or is it a predatory one that's looking just to make money and publish any old junk? What I would say is have a look on Google for a thing called Beall's List, B-A-L-L list. We'll just ignore the telephone in the background there. So Beall's List is a directory of predatory journals, and there are hundreds. There are hundreds of predatory journals out there, and I think for a period of time the list was taken down. I don't know whether that was due to lawsuits, but I believe it's back up now. So it's a way that you can go and see if the journal that you're looking at, what your research that you're looking at is in. You can go and see, is that a predatory journal? Do you have to have a lot more concern about the validity and quality of that research? So with that, I'll just leave it for a minute or two of any other questions. I don't know if there's many people online. It's kind of at the end of the work day. Not the best time to go live, but it's the time I have. Any questions from anyone? Any questions? Bradley Dean, thank you for the heart. Hope you're going to enjoy trick-or-treating with your little ones tonight. I'm sure there'll be some nice pictures on Instagram. And yeah, it's quite interesting. Trick-or-treating is quite different here in the States to the UK, and it's quite, I guess, much more kid-friendly here, little kid-friendly. I remember growing up, my parents didn't really want me to trick-or-treat in the UK much, and I think that I can't understand it. But here you've got the kids dressing up as Spider-Man and princesses and kind of nice things, and then the older kids can do other things if they choose to. So I think with that, I'm not sure there's anyone else online. If you do have questions, if you make it through listening to me, feel free to drop me a message later. If, like I say, if you've got a problem and you've kind of looked at some research, or you've been told that there's a treatment that's really wonderful and it sounds too good to be true, feel free to message me what you're looking at with that, and I'll be happy to see if it's something that that is good or not, and give you maybe some other information. If there is better articles out there, I'll try and help you out with that. If you are struggling with a problem right now, you're always welcome to reach out to me. We offer free discovery visits, which is a chance to come in and have a chat, maybe do a couple of tests on you just to see what's going on and see if it's something that physical therapy can help, and kind of give you an idea of what that might look like. So I think it's about time for me to put my outfit back on. Not long till we get to go out and trick or treat. Maybe if you want to, add some pictures of yourselves trick-or-treating onto the comments thread. It'd be great to see what you all are up to this evening, and I am going to sign off, and I'm going to change my face again, and I hope you all have a good evening. Happy Halloween.